Hey, how are you? This is Aaron McKay with Bird Be Gone coming at you with another installment of Ask an Expert. Today, I'm joined by my coworkers, Shaun Johnson and Bill Bohn. I think I've used every iteration of your name in our times talking over the podcast, Billy. So you're welcome for that. So how are you guys navigating the pandemic? I know we all need a little bit of levity these days. Do you have any funny stories from the last week, whether it's with family, friends, or perhaps new pets running around the house?
That feels pointed. Yeah, I mean, we definitely got a couple of kittens, and I mean, if anybody's owned kittens, I haven't before, and it's a whole new ball game. I mean, puppies are easy; they're just derpy and clumsy, and they run around running into things. But kittens or cats, they're kind of devious. They get into trouble and they get into things, but all in all, these two that we got are actually pretty great. One of them, I wear my sweatshirt backwards and I'll answer calls and do my work while it's laying in my hood, right next to my face. So we both like that. We enjoy that bonding time. So it's fun. I mean, kittens are cool, and it's definitely put a lighter step in just kind of what's going on. We're trying to be respectful to our neighbors and be respectful to those around us, and trying to stay indoors. But it can get a little cabin fever sometimes. So having
Right.
kittens, it definitely distracts you enough.
Yep. And Shaun, I know as a parent of four, navigating a pandemic can be a little difficult. How has your family been holding up through this stuff?
The family's good. It's just been a busy household with a wife and two young ones, two kids under the age of 5 at home, and two
So
dogs.
you're feeling really rested then, just
Yes,
filled with energy.
and then two dogs on top of that, and trying to navigate work and phone calls, and while staying out of their way, because they definitely don't stay out of my way. Can be difficult and challenging, but hey, everybody's just making it work right now.
Yeah, right. Well, that's one of the cool things that we're all afforded. I mean, obviously, we've never gone through something like this as human beings, but the fact that we can navigate through something like this with technology, we can still hop on this podcast, connect with, and support our customers. Yeah, they're all at home too, trying to figure out work, and they're probably getting annoyed with a bird pecking at their window. And you guys are getting all of those phone calls, so I appreciate you stepping up to that plate and helping our residential and DIY customers. Today, we have a topic that is near and dear to our hearts, because when Bird Be Gone started, our first product was Bird Spike. And typically, when someone thinks about bird control, that is the first product they do think about. Bird Spike is kind of the Kleenex of the bird control industry. But for homeowners that may be tuning in for the first time or just dipping their toes into the waters of bird control, I just want to ask some questions around the basics of Bird Spike. So what is Bird Spike and how does it work? So who wants to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. I think Shaun's gonna talk quite a bit on this subject. So I'll take the easy one. Really, it's a physical deterrent. This eliminates any open ledge, which is a favorite of most pest birds and birds alike. They will try to achieve that top vantage point, as we've talked about in other podcasts. They're going to try to get to those highest points. They're going to try to look around, and that's where they fly. They fly there first. So this spike eliminates those ledges for them. It's a 4.5-inch tall spike that will vary in widths. So oftentimes we get questions of, hey, what does this mean? This is a 7-inch spike, but how tall is it? The how tall question is quite frequent for us. So it is a 4.5-inch spike, and it eliminates those ledges for anything from a seagull down to your pigeon, your everyday pigeon. But one thing I do want to mention with this spike is that it's not meant for the smaller birds. A lot of people have your English your English sparrow, or your swallow, or a lot of wrens that are out there, and they'll just throw up spike when they have smaller bird issues, and they'll use it just like they do a normal tree. They'll perch right on it, and they're light enough to not be affected by the spike. So this is meant for those medium-sized birds that's meant to reach their underbelly, not to harm them, but to make them uncomfortable not to land. So that's overall the spike.
Yep. How about you, Shaun? Anything to add to what bird spikes do and how they work?
Yeah, I mean, the most simple way to put it is just it takes away landing spots for birds. I mean, larger birds, pigeons and up, physically cannot land on top of these spikes. So if you got, a ridge line on your roof that you got a problem with birds on top of a chimney, open spaces with high vantage points that birds like to land on, especially pigeons, seagulls, and larger birds. It's a perfect solution for bird spikes.
Yep. It's good. So how when you're talking to a homeowner, or if a homeowner is maybe using our website or other resources online, how do they know when bird spike is the right product to use and maybe when not to use it?
First question to look at, or first thing you need to answer is whether or not they're nesting. If they are building nests, bird spikes wouldn't be my number one recommendation for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, say you got birds pretty much landing anywhere outside of a tree that's not a nesting spot, it could be a good solution for bird spikes. Obviously, there's some places like handrails that you may not want to put them. They may not be the right solution, but open areas, that non-nesting spots are usually good spots for bird spikes.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned it specifically, Shaun, about if a bird is nesting or there is a long-standing nesting situation, that bird spikes may not be your number one choice. But a lot of it is around, and we've discussed this in earlier podcasts. What type of bird is it? What is it doing? So is it nesting, and how long has it been there? So if it's a recent nesting situation, spikes very, very well may work for you. Just do a good job cleaning out the area and getting the spikes up there. But if it's a long-standing nesting situation, again, spike may work, but probably not going to be our number one recommendation. But for a homeowner or a DIYer that's looking to solve a bird problem with spike, how much kind of technical know-how do they need to have in order to do an effective job of installing spike? Is it easy to do?
Yeah, I would say it's one of the most straightforward deterrents that we have. Really, the only technical part of this is putting the tube in the cocking gun and then pulling the trigger. So we usually suggest that you adhere this. In most situations, this is on roofs. So we don't want you screwing into roof shingles. So we usually recommend that you would use an adhesive, industrial grade, commercial grade adhesive, and add a zigzag design on the bottom of the unit here, and then you'll place it straight down. Allow enough time for that to bond, but that's about as technical as it gets. Zigzags and a cocking gun.
Yep. And what about liquid nails? Since we're talking about adhesive, do you recommend using and not to throw punches or throw shade on liquid nails? I've actually used it for a lot of my home improvement projects, but for something that's maybe in an exposed area, exposed to weather, heavy UV light, would liquid nails be your first choice?
Absolutely not. Only so it just doesn't hold up to the weather and the UV. Because the base of all of our spikes is a clear polycarbonate. So
Yep.
That UV is going to be exposed to that at whatever adhesive you use. So if you use an indoor adhesive like liquid nails that doesn't have any type of UV inhibitors built into it, it's not going to be very effective for very long. It's not going to hold for very long, or as long as you want it to when you install them.
Yeah.
So I would avoid liquid nails and stay to your polyurethane construction adhesives. Yep.
I love you, Shaun. You're never going to pull punches. Hey, should you use liquid nails? Absolutely not.
Absolutely
so
not.
you call in and you get Shaun on the phone, you are going to get the truth every single time and the best recommendation to solve your bird problem. So thanks for being honest, Shaun. That's awesome. Hey, so because bird spike,
Shaun and I are like good cop, bad cop.
I love it. Yeah, and sometimes homeowners do need to call in more than once, and so they could talk to both of you guys. So Shaun will give you the truth, and Billy will give you the truth and make you feel good about it. So
Yeah.
because Bird Spike has been in the market for 27 plus years, there are a lot of competitive products out there, right? Whether it's a knockoff coming over, a low cost knockoff coming from overseas, or it's Johnny come lately to the Bird Spike industry trying to figure it out. So what for someone that's just getting into it or maybe exploring Bird Spike to solve their bird control problem, what sets Bird Begun Spikes apart from other bird spikes out in the marketplace?
Number one thing for me is going to be the fact that we manufacture this. We're the only company that manufactures our own spikes, and we manufacture them here in California and in the United States. So they are going to be well put together, well made, quality controlled, and obviously we can control any inventory issues that may come in. It's easily controlled on our end by how much we produce.
And I know, Shaun, that there are several competitive products out on the market that, because homeowners and or DIYers aren't necessarily aware of what makes a good spike or what makes a bad spike, their primary decision is driven by price.
Right.
So what are some trends you've seen by competitive spike out in the market to just try to get people to buy their spike based on price, and homeowners end up getting that spike on their home and have a an experience that isn't a positive one? So what are other companies out in the market doing?
Yeah, I mean, just as with most products, the cheapest product isn't always going to be the most quality product. So you'll see some lower cost options in the marketplace, and not to knock them, but they're just not going to be as well made as our bird spikes. They're not going to last in the weather as long. They may rust quicker. The plastic's probably the polycarbonate is going to break down faster. Not only that, the polycarbonate's probably been recycled a few times, so it doesn't have the strength as a virgin plastic does. Then on top of that, there's companies out there that will claim they sell 10 feet in a box, when really, and they include like a tube of adhesive to glue them together. And then once you glue them together and get a final assembly, you're really left with 5 feet. So that's one way they're able to offer what looks like a lower price for 10 feet, but all in all, they're really getting 5 feet of product.
Yep. And that's typical behavior that you'll see in a marketplace, or any marketplace really, where you have a mature product line. So and spikes have been around for a long time, so people are just looking for ways to break into that market and make some money. And one of the easiest ways to do that is in essence to trick consumers to feel like they're getting more for their money. But if you do have to take two pieces and glue them together to make a fully functional assembly, instead of you feel like you're getting 10 feet and you only purchase 5 feet at the end of the day, a lot of customers end up calling us pretty dissatisfied. But for people that are maybe looking to explore installing spike on their home to solve a bird problem, where can they get it? Because we've been selling it into the market for a long time. Where can they get their hands on the stuff?
Best place to find it is going to be most of the hardware stores you probably already shop at. You're going to Home Depots, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, True Values, even some Do It Best, and some smaller hardware stores as well. Just through all of our distribution that we have across the country, it's going to be most hardware stores that you walk into will have some variety of our product, whether it's bird spikes to visual deterrents, flash tape and hawks. Something they will most likely have it with their pest control products.
Yeah. And as a parting comment, it's also available on our website, and everyone's favorite these days, especially as they move through the pandemic, is Amazon. So basically anywhere you can buy stuff, you'll probably find some of our products there. But as your final parting shot to homeowners and DIYers looking to install spike, what are some common mistakes that are typically made when spike is installed or when spike is used to solve a bird problem?
Yeah, I would say the common one. I mean, we have lightly touched on a lot of these already. First one, honestly, is using something like a liquid nails or an adhesive that isn't going to last. Test the real challenge of time that well. So they figure the actual spike itself is failing when really it's the adhesive that's failing. That's one. The other is, again, as we mentioned, just putting it in a situation that it doesn't belong. Putting it in a nesting situation that they may clear off a nest, say, look, there's no more nests, and then put the spike down. And I think one core thing to remember when it comes to nesting is there will still be the motivation to rebuild and build right back where they had that nest, even if you clear it off. And so you're still dealing with a nesting situation. So they'll put in spikes in nesting spots, and then again, just not really understanding the bird. That would be my third point of not understanding that small birds, this will not affect those smaller birds, and larger birds like turkey vultures or your even large hawks or not wrens, or what's another one? A heron that has real long legs. That's just not going to affect them. Yes, they might poke their feet here and there, but they can space those out. They're going to be smarter than those spikes, so it won't reach their underbelly. That's what that's designed for. So yeah, it's just birds, and then those types of situations as well. I would say those are ones that stick out to me.
How about you, Shaun? Anything to add? Common mistakes to avoid when installing?
I mean, when it's not just for spikes, but for any bird deterrent that you're installing, make sure you clean up and disinfect that area first and foremost before doing anything. And that's really what attracts birds to certain spots. They're attracted to the scent of their own droppings or their mother's droppings. And until you really clean that out and disinfect that, they're always going to be attracted to that spot, no matter what product, bird spikes, bird netting, whatever it is. Just do a thorough cleaning job before doing any bird deterrent installations.
Yep. And a consistent reminder, whenever we're talking about cleaning and disinfecting, just do your best to take care of yourself. Wear a mask, wear hand protection, because birds and their droppings and the debris can carry a lot of disease potentially. So take care of yourself. Well, gentlemen, appreciate you taking the time to talk through the basics of bird spike. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys. Yeah, hopefully we can join each other again here soon. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon.
See ya.